Kwali, Tanali, everybody. My name is Cihua Mazatl. We are here today to review the Yohualli Ehecatl Tarot deck by Mi Corazón Mexica or Chico Squintly. A little about myself before we begin, to give you a little bit of background about who I am, my perspective, and the lens in which I am going to be conducting this review. I have been reading tarot for about 19 years now, a long time, and like most people, I began my spiritual journey through the Western path, New Age. I've read everything under the sun. I consider myself a pretty academically inclined person. I love to read, and I get a lot of what I have learned from books or more educational settings, and I've also sat a lot in different ceremonies or rituals, and I've had my own decolonization or decolonizing journey when it's come to all different aspects of my life, especially my spirituality, and all of which led me to reconnect with my roots. I've always loved my culture, my family. I've grown up traveling to and from Mexico all my life, and I've always considered my home to be both here and over there in Mexico. My family from Sinaloa, from Mazatlan. My family is part of the Mayo tribe, for those that want to know. And it's been, like I said, it's been a journey to reconnect with my roots. It's led me to danza. It's changed my perspective and my trajectory of everything. I'm also an artist. I have some work behind me, and I make jewelry. I am an educator. I believe in opening up the gates and spreading information, letting people reconnect with themselves, with their roots. I don't believe that people should not have access to knowledge about who it is that they are, especially when it comes to history, especially when it comes to these particular topics, which most of the information that we had about our culture was destroyed in colonization. And so what there is that's left, that's been kept in the oral tradition or in codices or all these different sources, I believe should be shared. But anyway, I digress. That's a topic for another time. But yes, so like I said, my background is a tarot reader for about 19 years. I'm an artist. I also make pre-Hispanic Mexica style art, and I've been studying independently and under different elders and teachers over the last 8 years. I've been studying the Mexica Cosmology, so that's a little bit of my background and my approach to reviewing this deck. So I hope that you enjoy, and if you do enjoy this review, and I also invite you to check out the rest of my YouTube, which is new. This is probably like my second official video here, but please stay tuned. I'm going to be creating more. I do have a sample of how I read tarot, and if you are interested in more of what I do, I'm actually really active on Instagram. You can follow me at cihua.mazatl, and I'll link all that stuff in the description. But if you do like this, please make sure you give it a like, and you follow me for future content and education and everything that encompasses what I've just said. So I hope you enjoy. So we're going to begin with what it is that you receive. So this is the box. It's Tarot Yohualli Ehecatl. You can see it's got pretty gold lettering. My box is a little beat up. I've been using this deck for over a year. This is actually my second one. The first one I accidentally left in an Uber in Mexico City. So if you ever found one in Mexico City, it's mine, and I hope it's bringing you blessings and that it came at a good time in your life. but this is my second deck, and so I'm sorry that the box is beat up and not pristine. So the package comes with little cards. I guess I'll begin with the cards, which look like this. It's the same image that's on the box here. There's no gold on it, and it's like a pretty like deep red color. And corn is not included in what you get. That's just to make this look cute. So this is the book that you get. It is really beautiful. The cover is made out of linen, and it's got the gold, and this is embossed like a tree here, a tree. And it says Tarot Yohualli Ehecatl by Cihua Mazatl-19. And on the back, it's like this too. Here's the spine. All right. When you open it, oh, now the page is stuck. You get like this. They actually had the ISBN number sticker here, so which I didn't like that, because now when I removed it, it's made this part sticky, and now it like sticks to the page. I would have rather it have been out here, so it's to not damage this, because also when I was trying to peel it off, it almost ripped off this beautiful inside. So that's one caveat. Also, by the way, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not affiliated with anybody. This is my honest review, and yeah, this is what I think. So as you can see, it's got beautiful artwork, these like babies drinking from these flowers. I think this is, it looks like huehueteot. And the pages are thin, sort of like, you know, those old paperback books. That's kind of what it feels like. And this book has a content, so this is where you find the information about each card. And what's cool about it is that there's some color, and it's both in English and in Spanish. And it's got some information on like directions, on the 4 directions. It has a spread. It's got some good educational content. I believe the artist is a pretty avid learner as well. He lives in Mexico City, has his own calpuli, and does his, I think he worked on this over 10 years, this deck. Anyway, so you'll find information about how he's like segmented the tarot, and we'll go into that a little bit. You know, so you have Yolo, you have the explanation of each of the suits. Yolo, it is one of the suits. And if you have some tarot background, you'll probably understand a little bit more of what I'm saying, and if you don't, I'll try and explain a little bit as we move forward. But pretty much they have a picture of the card, which is, I really love that there is the red coloring throughout. If you've been to some of the sacred temples, you know that white and red was a dominant feature to display that sacredness. The tocalis, the temples, were always painted red, and then the floors were white to symbolize the water and to symbolize the red, the passion for life. So all the colors and everything in this has a deeply symbolic meaning, and I love that that was carried through with these small details. I really appreciate that. So you have it in English. Sorry, you'll have it in Spanish, and then you'll have it in English, the same part. So, and that's kind of how they've structured this. And you'll find you'll find all the cards here. Oh yeah, can't forget these beautiful details here too, which indicate what suit you're looking at. Like this is the wands or the papili. Here we have the chochiwi. And then you have the major arcana indicated by this tree. So yes, anyway, that's the book. And you also get this bag to carry your deck in, and it is made out of linen, manta. Could be cotton, but I think it's linen. And it's imprinted with the image and the information on the bag. Personally, I think that this bag is a little too big for my cards, hence why I use the box. I don't like the idea of them just like floating around in there. I know it sounds weird, but whatever, you're free to use this. I've seen people use it, so whatever suits your needs. So next we're gonna actually look at the cards, but before that I would say this is a pretty big deck. My hands are pretty big for an average feminine person. They're actually, I have really big hands, so trust me when I say this deck is really big. It's like that. And my only complaint here, well, the cards are really thick. First of all, they're really thick, high quality. They're thick, so that means that they're high quality, but this deck is really thick, so it makes it really hard to shuffle. My cards have already, I've already been working them, so they're a little bit softer, but it takes some time to break them in. So I find them hard to shuffle. My hands, I think they were just made for this shuffles. So it took me a long time to be able to do that because, like I said, this deck is big. So maybe if they were slightly thinner, but then the quality would be compromised. So that's kind of a hard trade-off. So that's the only thing I would say. So if you can't shuffle the cards like that, finding different ways to shuffle this deck is something that you would need to figure out. Okay, so let's look at the inside of the cards now. Okay, so here's the next part. I brought in the traditional Rider-Waite tarot, which is what most tarot is based on nowadays for reference. I wanted you to see, oh, how strange, but not at all, because it's tarot that we're talking about. But the Fool, I wanted to put it next to the Fool. I promise I didn't do that on purpose. But look how much bigger this tarot is for reference. And also so you can sort of see the style choices. So the Yohualli Ehecatl is a tarot based on Mexica or Aztec cosmology. The culture, all the images that you'll see are based on these different cultures, but all the images, they really can take you back to, well, it's very imaginative or creative. You can really feel like you're back in those times, and really using that historical reference in the artwork. So if you are new to tarot, I would say you're going to be hit by two learning curves. One is learning tarot, and tarot is a deeply symbolic archetypal system that gets deeper the more that you learn, the more that you sit with tarot. It really always has something new to offer. And so it's already a deeply symbolic system. And two, you're going to be hit by having to learn the cosmology of some of the symbols behind this stuff. So if you are danzante, if you have been in the subculture, you study independently, in the culture, not subculture, and if you study independently, you might have an easier time with recognizing some of the symbols and being able to dive a little deeper. However, I wouldn't say that in any type of discouragement. The book that comes with it is pretty deep and explains a lot of the symbols within here. Overall, no matter what system you use, no matter what it is, it's going to be important that you establish a personal connection with each card, with the symbols that are in the tarot, whether it's the Rider-Waite or any other deck that you choose. So don't become overwhelmed if you decide to take this deck up. And if you're just learning tarot, I recommend starting with the Rider-Waite. Learn the symbols here so that you can translate them into anything else. Pretty much, since I've been reading tarot for so long, I can pick up any deck and be fine. However, with this deck, it has been a really nice tool for me because of all my independent research. I feel like this deck really encompasses where I am in life right now, and I really think this is a valuable tool for me. So the deck tarot is separated into the major arcana and the minor arcana. The major arcana represents major life lessons and archetypes. It begins with the Fool, which is the beginning, and it is the journey that this individual takes, and each card symbolizes a different step along that journey. And this is what I feel is a map of human consciousness, all tarot. And you will find each card, whatever it is that it is symbolizing and symbolizing, is going to express itself differently in your life and the other people that you read for. But we have all had moments where we've had to begin a journey or where we've had to end one. We have la muerte, we have death. So this is the major arcana. So we have the Fool, we have the Moon, and if you see the images used, like this is the traditional Metzli and how it is drawn, and then it keeps some of the original tarot symbolism with the dogs and the lobster. Here we have death. And the way that we celebrate death in our culture is very different. This death here is heralded and honored, and in the traditional tarot, they are honoring death, but there's also a fear. And here I feel like it meets in the middle, and we could dive deeply into every single card, but we won't. I just wanted to show you a little bit of what it is that you would be getting yourself into. And here we have the High Priestess. Traditionally, this is how the sacerdotisas, or the priestesses, would don on the symbols of goddesses and gods to symbolize that divine connection. Anytime you see a nariguera that is big, that covers the mouth, it symbolizes that this person has something divine to say. That the mouth being covered symbolizes that connection with the divine. I actually learned that from a mural in Tepantitla. And here we have Tlapapapalcoat. I trip up over the Nahuatl names all the time, but I'm learning. So we have Tlazolteotl here with her traditional symbols. We have the snake, her serpent, her coat. We have her cotton headdress. The more that you learn about these things, the easier it becomes to really discern and take these symbols out. And I happen to have Tlazolteotl in my Tonalamat, so I have a pretty deep connection with her, and so I'm able to dive a little deeper into the symbolism. But the more I recommend learning about the Aztec calendar, the Tonal Machot. I feel like that's really helped me a lot with these symbols. But anyway, this is the traditional major arcana depicted using Mexica Cosmology. The colors are really beautiful and uniform throughout the deck. It's the same set of colors done in the same style. There is, of course, there's nudity, and you know, here we have Quetzalcoatl in his cholot form, and there's a lot of deep symbolism in these. We have like the jaguar warrior, she's like riding him, and traditionally the strength card in the tarot is a feminine person riding well, not writing, but communing with the lion, you know, and here she is writing. It's the symbolisms are still very true to the original tarot, but with this other layer of deep symbolic Mexica symbolism, which I feel has actually made it more profound for me and for anybody reading. These are very, very powerful cards. So here we have like the hermit sitting on a temple in his own inner teocalli, inner temple. Huaytlatuani, Cihuatlatuani, both the emperor and the empress. Why my water wants to talk. Tzacuali, the magician. They're not in order because I didn't want to put them in order. Okay, so, and then we have, traditionally in the tarot, we have the swords, and here they're represented by the tekbakt, which is the flint knife, the obsidian knife, which not only has the connection with the word, the palabra, communication, the way that we can cut and intellectualize things, but it also has the ability to spark. And so I felt that the tekbakt was a perfect replacement for the swords, the traditional swords. And we have all these different tekbakts, and it just translates so well. The tekbakt being our mind, and you know, our anxieties and the things that plague us. And it's just really beautiful. They seem really alive. And you have other symbolisms, like this is a warrior. This is what the warriors would wear into battle. This is like an armor. So it really just, if you know a little bit about history, it can really deepen these things. And it's explained in the book, but you know, I had some prior knowledge, so that was helpful. It's one of my favorite cards. It actually has taken the meaning of the traditional 10 of swords and given me another meaning with this one, sort of showing up in a self-sacrifice kind of way, or like the idea of being sacrificed versus betrayal or something else. Like I feel like sometimes we make those sacrifices. It kind of changes the lesson up a little bit, and I like that. But I mean, you can view this in many different ways. So then we have the Huaychalchihuit, or the Chalchihuit, to symbolize the pentacles. And so this is jade, which was very precious to our ancestors, and it was also the way that our artisans, we created so many things out of jade. And you see the artisans here, the business aspect here being represented. And these are some of the court cards, by the way. It's just different. The court cards, like this has symbols of Xochipilli. They take on some of the symbols of the gods or the Teot, some of the divine energies. We have elders. And what I really like about this deck too is that there's some like gender fluidity in it. There is representations of many different kinds of like relationships, which I think is really nice. Our ancestors were really open, and so I love to see that represented. Here we have representation of Tlaloc, ¿cómo se dice? Chicomecoat. And these are like the knights. You have the Yaukiski, and this is Yolo Yaukiski, and some of the warriors. So this is the suit of hearts, which is replaces the suit of cups. And I love that they're flowing. The flowing represents the flow of energy, and then you also see the cups when there isn't flow, you know, representing, you know, when your well is drying up. A number of different things, just depending on the context. And then we have Topili, we have the Topilis, which is the staffs. And I really find this particular suit interesting because the staffs are different. Like this one has like a flower, but some of them have deck bags. This is deck bags and flowers. They're sort of like spears, you know, different flowers in these. And I really like the headdresses. You know, the staffs always represent the spirit, you know, our power, and you know how we wield it. And so I think these are really beautiful representations. We have all sorts of different symbols. Like here we have the Mazatl, the deer. We have the Cuautli, the eagle. It's like an eagle warrior. We have the Coscacuautli, the vulture. And like all these animals have their own symbolisms that are deep, especially when you look at the calendar, which are the tonalis, which represented very sacred principles. But you have all these different images to represent our different phases in life. So this is pretty much the deck. Each card is deeply symbolic, and this review would be way longer if we went card by card, but we're not going to. And so this deck is available on Etsy. It is, for everything that I showed you, it's $138.41, and it ships from Mexico. That is not a standard price for a tarot deck. It's a very high-end price for a tarot deck. It's the most expensive tarot deck I've ever had, and I've had to get 2 of them. And the price has gone up, I would say. I don't know if there's like a limited run or what it is, but the first time I got it was, ¿cómo se dice? It was during the I had pre-ordered, so it was a little cheaper as a reward because I was a Patreon. And since then, the last time I got it, I think it was like 90 something, and now it's gone up. But there is a softcover version that I looked up today, and it is still by the same artist, but he's using his real name, and he like has it separate, and it's a softcover, and that's $80.74. With softcover is the book. Oops. The softcover is the book. This is a hardcover book, and so the softcover is $80. I am a book lover. I love books, so for me, it's worth it, and it's a really beautiful book. For me, it's worth it. And if this is a deck that you're going to be using a lot, then I would say it would be a good investment. If you are just starting out in tarot, I don't know if I would like, I recommend this deck for sure. That's my recommendation. However, I do recommend that you spend some time studying the traditional tarot to get the most out of your deck. I've heard people say that they received this deck and they just haven't used it, or they're confused, or there's just a lot of overwhelming information. And so I think that can be a deterring factor. But if you're a passionate person, if you're determined to want to learn this deck and want to get your knowledge a little deeper, then you're willing to read this book, which is it's a lot, and there are some interesting inconsistencies. I would say the inconsistency here is the direction in which they place Quetzalcoatl. They place Quetzalcoatl to the west, but in modern danza tradition, we herald Quetzalcoatl as the regent of the west. Of the west. It's backwards. We in danza, we recognize Quetzalcoatl as the regent of the east. And this book, it's in the west. And I've talked to Chico Mitzquintli about it. I've written to him about it. And we've had a discussion about it, that in the codices, traditionally, Quetzalcoatl was to the west, but in modern danza practices, we've been hailing Quetzalcoatl to the east, so there are going to be some inconsistencies between the oral tradition and what's in the codices, but he's a very academically inclined person, and he's done a lot of research, so I do trust what his choices. But with everything, as you learn more, and I'm going to switch over to my face. So all right, so as you continue to learn more, your understanding of not only the tarot, but your life, spirituality, the energies, the world that we live in, will only get deeper. I think that if you are on a decolonizing journey and you want to keep going with your spiritual practices and somehow meet in the middle, because no matter what, the conquest happened, things are different, things will never go back to what they were. And I find that for me, this deck has been a way for me to be able to connect and bridge the two worlds in which I've been a part of. I've been a part of the Western world and Western spirituality, and I deeply, deeply love the tarot and have formed a relationship with it over the years. And I deeply love danza and, the cosmology, the culture, and this is a way for me to bridge those worlds and continue my spiritual practice. So if you find yourself in a similar place, or just want to take the jump to learn, or this is a good place to start, I think, that and learning about the calendar. I think that is a good way to begin. And just don't get overwhelmed, and remember that every step is important and that you should honor that. And if you're not sure if you're Aztec or what tribe you're from and all those different things, and this calls you, answer the call. These are the breadcrumbs that lead you down, that can lead you down to a beautiful path. So trust if this is what's called for you, and I hope that you have enjoyed this review and that it's educated you in whether this deck is a good choice for you. Let me know if you liked it, if it was informative for you. Please comment down below if there was a card or something, or if there's anything you want me to clarify or touch upon. And I'll probably do some more reviews of some other Mexica decks and oracles that I've encountered, and I'll continue to post some tarot. I hope you enjoyed. Please give this a like and follow my channel for more. I love you.